You're pouring your coffee in Memphis. The radio is playing. Your kids are tying their shoes by the door. And then the mug in your hand starts to rattle against the counter on its own for no reason at all. The floor is not supposed to move here. That's the first thought. Not fear yet, just confusion. Because in the middle of America, the ground has never once asked permission before. 200 years ago, a sequence of quakes tore through this exact region so violently that church bells rang in Boston, over 1,000 miles away. The Mississippi River reversed its own current and ran backward for hours. If that sequence repeats today, the federal government's own damage models put the number at $300 billion in immediate destruction. 7 million people displaced within days. Pipelines carrying oil and gas across the entire Midwest snapped. And an energy crisis spreading east of the Rockies within 48 hours. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly why this fault line is more dangerous than anything on the West Coast, why the ground here betrays you in a way California's never will, and the 3 warning signs seismologists are already watching that almost nobody in this region has ever heard of. Ask someone in Memphis, in St. Louis, in Nashville, what they know about earthquakes, and they'll tell you about California. They'll tell you about San Francisco, about the San Andreas, about a state 1,000 miles away. Meanwhile, they're living inside gorgeous, unreinforced 100-year-old brick homes. They cross aging bridges over the Mississippi River on the way to work every single morning without a second thought. The ground beneath the heartland feels permanent, feels solid, feels like the one thing in life you never have to question. That feeling is the trap. Because underneath Memphis, underneath St. Louis, underneath the quiet cornfields of the Missouri Buthiel, sits one of the most dangerous and least discussed fault systems in North America. It has already ruptured before, catastrophically. And it will again. The only open question is when, and whether anyone will be ready. Let's go back to the winter of 1811. In the span of a few months, this fault system unleashed a sequence of quakes estimated between magnitude 7.5 and 7.9. For comparison, that's in the same range as some of the most destructive earthquakes ever recorded on the West Coast. The ground didn't just shake, it liquefied. Sand and water burst up through the soil in massive fountains. Entire sections of forest sank into the earth. The Mississippi River, one of the largest rivers on the continent, reversed its flow for a period of hours, terrifying the small population living along its banks. Waves rang church bells as far away as Boston, over 1,000 miles from the epicenter. This is not folklore. This is documented seismological history. Here is the number that should stop you cold. If that exact sequence happened today, federal emergency modeling projects roughly $300 billion in immediate physical damage, 7 million people forced from their homes almost overnight. Major pipelines that cross the Midwest, carrying oil and natural gas to half the country, severed in multiple locations, triggering an energy emergency across the eastern United States within 48 hours. This isn't a distant hypothetical. This is a documented, quantified, government-modeled outcome sitting quietly in a report most people will never read. So why does almost nobody know this? Why is the recognition of this risk so far behind the actual danger? That gap between what the science says and what the public understands is where people get hurt. Here's the raw science, and it's more frightening than most people expect. On the West Coast, the bedrock is young, fractured, and broken up by millions of years of active tectonic grinding. When an earthquake hits there, that fractured rock actually absorbs and dampens a portion of the seismic energy as it travels outward. The Midwest has the opposite problem. The bedrock underneath the central United States is ancient, cold, and dense. Geologically, it behaves almost like a bell. When an earthquake strikes here, that hard, unbroken rock transmits shockwaves roughly 20 times farther than equivalent shaking would travel on the West Coast. A quake centered near Memphis wouldn't just threaten Memphis. It would be felt violently across state lines, hundreds of miles from the epicenter, in cities that have never once prepared for this kind of shaking. And this is the overlooked data almost nobody in this region has been told. Earthquake monitoring networks here receive a fraction of the funding dedicated to the Pacific Ring of Fire. Fewer sensors, fewer researchers, slower public alerts. The West Coast has spent decades building instrumentation and public awareness around seismic risk. The middle of the country has not, even though the ancient bedrock here means the shaking, when it comes, travels farther and hits more people at once. Now layer on the systemic gap that turns this from a scientific curiosity into a mass casualty event, building codes. Across huge portions of the Midwest, there is essentially no widespread seismic retrofitting requirement. Hundreds of thousands of structures, homes, schools, hospitals, are built from unreinforced masonry, heavy brick construction that was never engineered to flex or absorb lateral shaking. When the ground beneath these buildings liquefies, a real, documented process called soil liquefaction, where saturated soil temporarily behaves like a liquid under stress, these structures don't sway and settle the way a modern reinforced building would. They fail suddenly, Walls separate from foundations, roofs come down. This isn't speculation, it's basic structural engineering applied to a region that largely built as if this risk didn't exist. Think about what that means layered on top of everything else. A hospital built from unreinforced masonry, sitting directly above ground that's known to liquefy, in a region where the shockwaves already travel 20 times farther than they would out west. That's not 3 separate risks. That's 3 multipliers stacked on top of each other. And it's exactly the kind of compounding danger that gets buried in a technical report instead of explained to the people actually living on top of it. Engineers who study this fault system have said plainly that the exposure here rivals anything on the West Coast, precisely because the region never built for it. A moderate quake that California's infrastructure might shrug off could level entire blocks of a Midwestern downtown built a century ago, before anyone here had ever heard the words seismic code. And here's the second piece of overlooked data worth sitting with. Insurance companies already price this risk quietly, even if homeowners never see it spelled out. Earthquake coverage across much of this region is either prohibitively expensive or simply not purchased because most residents have never been told they need it. That's a financial blind spot sitting right next to the physical one. When the ground moves, the people least prepared won't just face structural danger, they'll face it without the financial safety net that a Californian, raised on decades of seismic awareness, would have already built in. This is not a substitute for your local authorities. Know your evacuation route, keep your kit ready, and when officials say move, you move. If you live anywhere near this fault system in Tennessee, Missouri, Arkansas, Kentucky, or the surrounding states, West Coast earthquake logic will not save you here, and that's a critical distinction. On the West Coast, the advice is drop, cover, and hold on, because buildings are engineered to flex. Here, a brick chimney or an unreinforced parapet can come through a roof in seconds. Preparedness in this region has to start with structural awareness, not just a defensive posture. Walk your home and identify anything heavy, unsecured, and elevated, brick chimneys, heavy shelving, water heaters, and anchor what you can to structural studs, not drywall. Locate your gas shutoff valve right now, not during an emergency, and know exactly how to use it, because ruptured gas lines are one of the leading causes of post-earthquake fires. Build a supply kit designed for 14 days, not the standard 72 hours, because if the bridges spanning this Mississippi River are damaged or destroyed, emergency logistics into this region could be delayed far longer than a typical coastal disaster response. Keep a hand crank or battery emergency radio in that kit because cell towers and cellular networks are expected to fail or become overloaded in the first hours after major rupture. If you're in an older brick structure, especially a school or a workplace, ask whether any seismic assessment has ever been done. In many cases, the honest answer will be no, and that itself is information you can act on. Talk to your family now about a meeting point outside the home in case you're separated when it happens, because phone networks are exactly the systems most likely to fail in the first chaotic hour. And if you're a homeowner in this region, at least get a quote on earthquake coverage, even if you decide against it. Knowing the real cost of that risk is better than discovering it for the first time after the ground has already moved. None of this requires panic. It requires attention, and it requires acting on the science before the ground forces the issue. Here's what matters more than any single fact I've given you tonight. Geography does not decide who survives an event like this. Preparation does. When this fault line moves again, and geologically speaking, it is a matter of when, not if, the systems built to respond will be stretched, delayed, and, in some cases, simply overwhelmed. Bridges will be down. Communication will be spotty. Help may not arrive as fast as anyone would like. But you don't have to be part of that story. Being the person in your household who already knows where the gas shutoff is, who already has 2 weeks of supplies, who already anchored the heavy furniture, that's not paranoia. That's the difference between waiting helplessly for a system to respond and being the calm, capable anchor your family needs in the exact moment it matters most. Think about the families who lived along the Mississippi in the winter of 1811. They had no seismographs, no emergency broadcast systems, no federal damage models. They only had each other and whatever instinct told them to do in a moment no one had prepared them for. We have something they didn't. 2 centuries of accumulated science, a clear picture of exactly what this fault system is capable of, and enough warning right now to actually do something about it. The tragedy would not be the earthquake itself. The tragedy would be having all of that knowledge available and doing nothing with it anyway. Take the science seriously today, while the coffee is still just coffee and the floor is still just the floor. Because the day it isn't, you won't get a warning. You'll only get whatever preparation you already put in place.